Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and today I have a special guest with us. He is the creator. This guy does a little bit of everything. He does horror music, acting, and he is coming up on his 25th anniversary with his comic horror series Frozen Dead. I have with us today Johnny Hurley, aka Johnny Necro. Johnny, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you on, my man. Pleasure to have you on. Congratulations, man. Coming up this Halloween, it's going to be 25 years of Frozen Dead.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Frozen Dead and tell us a little bit about what to expect with the 25th anniversary edition.
Well, I just celebrated the milestone for the 24th last Halloween and finally released my 11th graphic novel just this past 2 weeks ago at the Great Media Comic Con. And that one was filled with horror icons. So I don't know how I'm going to top that because it had a forest from Beatrice Buckley, Amanda Kruger herself. It had, appearances where I got to draw Lloyd Kaufman and Butch Patrick and C. Ernst Harth and a whole shitload of Troma people, man. That was the best. There's more Troma in it than there is Frozen Dead, I think. But yeah, we just found out we're going to be able to go back. We used to live in Detroit, my wife and I. We get to go back to Detroit for a con next April. So it'll be a kind of a homecoming, even though the series started in Texas. You might as well just say it's a Detroit comic too, because that's where I continued it once I moved back up north. But already started the next book. It's going to be the quarter of a century edition. I'm doing a nice tribute to Iron Maiden with a version of my character Johnny Necro looking like Eddie on the front cover.
Love it.
Got to blend a little bit of that love in there because you can't love horror without loving Eddie, man. That was one of the images that just ingrains into your head if you're an 80s kid.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And it is crazy. I'm an 80s kid as well. Metal and horror always went hand in hand.
Yeah, and punk. Look,
that's true too.
Look at the soundtrack to the first movie of Demons, and then the second one was all new wave, which was post-punk. So you had metal for the first soundtrack, and then new wave punk for the second. Return of the Living Dead is what got me into horror rock in the beginning. Before I even knew what the Misfits were, Return of the Living Dead.
So, but what has happened? Because I feel like that a connection over the decades has kind of separated. Like when you see modern horror, you don't see that metal feel, you don't hear that punk feel anymore to it.
Yeah, it's probably because of licensing and stuff like that more than anything. Because if you look, the last time, unless it was an independent horror, the last time you really had a punk rock representation like strong in a major Hollywood horror would have been Pet Sematary with the Ramones. So
yeah,
the style of punk and horror rock and all that and metal has changed so much. Well, Freddy vs. Jason, that had a very metal vibe to it.
It did.
And that had some stuff on there that wasn't even like radio friendly. So that was kind of cool. Or the Resident Evils had it. But I think over time it's all about whether we get taken seriously or not. Like even a band like the Misfits used to try to get their stuff. They got in Bruiser by George Romero, and then he also directed Scream for him back when my buddy Dr. Chud was still playing drums for him. But it's only really, I think, the underground that's starting to do it. And I'm trying to bring it back. Like I'm currently working with a couple friends doing some horror rock scores to their upcoming projects. So I know a lot of my other peers in the scene, like the Deftones and all that, they'd be jumping on that if they could. Because that's why we write it. You know what I mean? We love the scene. And it's just it's that perfect amalgamation. You know what I mean? It's an amalgam of everything that it just works. So I think it's just mainly Hollywood that's not about doing it.
I totally agree. And I've always been a horror fan, but I wasn't always a rock fan. But it was the first horror movie that I saw that really got me into horror rock was Lost Boys. The Lost Boys had an amazing fucking soundtrack.
Yeah, that was a good soundtrack.
Yeah. And you just don't see big budget horror movies with great soundtracks. Well, you don't see any fucking movies with great soundtracks anymore. Like that's fucking completely gone.
Is it sad that I understand it's pop or whatever? Is it sad that I really loved McKenna Grace's song at the end of Ghostbusters Afterlife? I thought that was awesome.
Yes, I agree.
It It was haunting.
And
it was beautiful.
it is. I mean, like a couple weeks ago, I was listening to the Crow soundtrack.
Another good
I
one.
forgot how fucking good that soundtrack is.
Yeah, and
I mean,
a lot. Some of that was covers of older stuff. Like Nine Inch Nails was doing Joy Division.
yeah. And like to watch that movie, because I rewatched The Crow. I've seen the advertisement for the new one, which I'm excited for. But I watched the old Crow. I think it was on Tubi or Amazon. It was something streaming for free, and I forgot how the soundtrack is so much part of that fucking movie. Like you
It's
watch
like
that
another
movie and
actor.
the
It really does work.
It is. It goes and it ties together. And like so, jumping back to horror used to have whether it be a score or a soundtrack. I mean, even if you look at the 1978 Halloween, that ding, 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 that soundtrack
Right.
is just fucking. The score just fucking made you unnerved more so sometimes than anything you saw on the screen.
Don't forget Fast
horror movie.
Trick or Treat.
Yeah. Yes. And like, but you don't see that now. I mean, I would see, watch Scream 6 and stuff like that, and the music is not there anymore. It's like the score is not in there anymore. It doesn't build up that tension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David Lynch was also good for that stuff. Like, look at the songs for Twin Peaks and all his movies. It was
Yes.
part of that vibe. It was the feel. It got you going.
Yes. And listen, I can say the faults of the recent Halloween trilogy, but the one thing they did that the previous Halloween movies didn't do, they grabbed that score and that eeriness from that original Halloween, which
Right.
I fucking love.
And I will say, in my opinion, not to knock it, everybody's on that bandwagon, but Rob Zombie had at least a great soundtrack for his Halloween. That first soundtrack was incredible.
Yeah, I agree. But listen, by the way, I don't give Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, even though I like the second one better than I did the first one. I don't give his Halloween movies that much shit. But at the same time, I'm just not a Rob Zombie fan. I'm not a movie fan. Like I like him as a musical artist. I'm just not
Right.
a fan of his movies. I don't like the dialogue. I don't like the feel. It just doesn't. It's not my kind of horror.
Now, I love Devil's Rejects, but it reminds me of the Old Hills Have Eyes from the 1980s.
Yes.
That's that feel. So I like that one a lot. But like I like also 31 wasn't too bad. That was pretty decent. Out of all of them, they're probably the two I watched the most. But
For me, it's definitely Devil Rejects, and I would say the second Halloween. Those are my, I guess, favorite Rob Zombie films. But I love Rob Zombie as a musician. I mean, I think
Right.
he's absolutely amazing. I was actually excited even about the Munsters because I was a huge Munsters fan. And then when I know that he is as well. I mean, he even has the Dracula car apparently. But when I saw that on Netflix, I was like, shit, this is not the Munsters. I don't know what this is, but this is not the Munsters.
Munsters is my favorite
So,
TV show of all time. I thought it was better than I thought it would be. You know what I mean? Like it's just really hard to replace the charismatic feel of that family from the original. You know what I mean? I've met and talked to Butch Patrick, and he likes it, but then again, it's still tributing something that was such a big part of his childhood. So I'm not going to knock it for what it is, but you know what? It's like the Three Stooges movie when that came out. At least another generation is sort of learning what we had. And maybe it'll open their eyes enough to go back and search the source material. Same with Wednesday. Maybe they'll go back and watch the original Addams Family and then maybe the 90s movies and whatnot. At least it's still out there. I mean, I guess we're getting old. We want everything the same, but
we are.
I'm also not a big, let's keep remaking shit. No, make something fucking new. That's what I want to see. I want the new big thing.
I agree. Now, what got you? Listen, I'm a huge comic book fan. I'm a huge horror fan. But what got you in the mindset? You know what? I'm going to make my own graphic novel. I'm going to make my own comic series.
Well, I actually got started freelance for the largest college newspaper in the country while homeless, living in an armchair at my friend's efficiency apartment.
Nice.
I was drawing at a coffee shop that's no longer in Austin, Texas, called Mojo's. And long story short, a guy from the paper kept on bothering me, seeing what I was drawing, and it wasn't anything to do with Frozen Dead yet. It was a superhero spoof vigilante story called Necrophiliac. And no, it wasn't as gross as it sounds. Yes, he tried to be, but he failed miserably. Picture Deadpool now, because back then Deadpool wasn't like he is now. Okay, early X-Force, Deadpool was not this, but my character was very much like that, which is probably why I didn't continue it years later. But he finally convinced me to turn in some sketches, and even though I've told this story before, the band I was forming with a couple of friends was going to be called Frozen Dead after the old horror movie, you know? And so we were doing an ad for a drummer, and I had drawn myself almost like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac looking zombie character, and I drew a skeleton for the drummer because he didn't have a face. And I decided to combine the two, and I came up with the first ever Johnny Necro, which I still use today. I don't know if you can see it very well, but under the strings right there,
oh, nice.
that sticker is basically the original Johnny Necro I created to be a band logo, kind of like Eddie or The Fiend or Vic from Megadeth. You know, I mean, it was supposed to be that face for the band. And I said, fuck it. You know what? My stage name is going to be Johnny Necro. I'm going to name him Johnny Necro. I'm going to draw it and sign it like Johnny Necro. So it's almost a fictitious autobiography of this poor punk rock zombie who doesn't eat people, just trying to live a normal life. And it just grew. And I said, you know what? I'm going to swear if I want to. If they don't like it, fuck it. Little did I realize that like Bloom County used to run in that. And I became friends years later with Shannon Wheeler because Too Much Coffee Man used to be in that same paper years before me. So that rich history of the Daily Texan pushed me along. And then I moved to New York City and I started it again. Once the internet got going, I started doing it online and on Facebook. And because of my history with being on the streets a couple times, I don't think anyone should be denied free entertainment because they can't afford a fucking comic book. I mean, they're like $5 now. So I continue to post the series for free all year round whenever I do new episodes. And then occasionally I'll collect them in the volumes for the next graphic novel with new material. So 2015 is the first time I actually saw print as a physical graphic novel. And to answer your question, long story short, I go graphic novels because it's cheaper for you and everybody else to get an entire 100-some page story for $25-30 that they don't have to worry about bending. They can read while taking a shit if they want to, whatever, let it fucking fall on the floor while they're drunk. Instead of that, oh, I can't get this book now because it came out yesterday and it's worth $25 because there's a dye fucking gloss cover and so did a variant. No, I do it to be efficient for me because it's expensive to print, and I do it for you guys because, again, I try to make it as cheap and accessible as possible, and that's why they all sell out. They're all out of print except for this new one, and that just came out, and there's only 88 copies left. So, yeah, they're like that because it's an underground sensation. I got readers in England and Canada, fucking, I think some in Brazil, so it's crazy. Internet, thank you.
So when this blew up, when you started seeing people getting this fan base, people are driving and buying the comic, how did that fucking feel? That must have felt fucking amazing, didn't it?
It is amazing, but I'm still kind of weirdly humble about all this shit. Like, I get childhood excitement with my friends, but it still blows my mind. I'm like, fuck it. You know, the secret to writing a good comic, and probably anything out there, I just write the one I looked for my entire life. So if you're giving that genuine a fucking product, say, I'm sure you've read a Mad magazine in your life before, whether it be one of the horror issues or not. Do what you want. Punk rock fucking comics, just like fucking horror and everything else. It feels great though. I love my fans. I've had, unfortunately, so many die over the couple of years, and I've dedicated books to them. During 2020, I did a Not So Secret Santa because my readers are so wonderful and loyal. I hate the word fan, but we'll just call them my extended family. Okay, my fellowship of the ink.
I like that.
And they all donated money during 2020 to send copies all over the globe to people who couldn't afford it.
Wow.
And I sold out of the rest of my graphic novel collection that fucking week. They donate the money, and I gave them away, shipping everything. So, yeah, it's all about giving back, man. I'm trying to build a brothership or a brotherhood and sisterhood, another underground. You know, the punk scene used to be that knit thing. You know, anybody was welcome. Come on in. And then it got fucking stupid and everybody gets fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Well, I've been trying to do that with all my other friends, especially in the horror community. Like when I reached out to you, it's about building bridges and picking people up and not just out for yourself. We need to be the new generations that grab on and be like Lloyd Kaufman when he started Trauma Entertainment and just here you go. I get a little bit, I can make something else. I can keep doing this. And then I can move around to this project and that project. You got a movie, you need a song. Instead of charging you fucking $10 every time somebody watches your movie on Tubi, somebody should just give it to you as long as they get credit in the fucking credits. Sell their own soundtrack. That's fine. Make your money on your merch. Let you make money on yours and trade. Don't be afraid to fucking give people shit back and forth.
I agree.
And that's what I've been trying to do.
Because one of the things I did with this channel was to, because I'm a huge fan of indie horror creators, huge fan, and I felt like you guys do not get the spotlight you should not shine on, and it's just such a niche fan base, you know, it's just a niche small fan base. But if you look at all of the big shit, you look at the Halloweens, the Nightmare on Elm Street, they all came from indie horror. They all originated from indie horror, and they became something big, and most people don't know this.
Look at Terrifier.
Terrifier, yes. I mean, look at the Winnie the Pooh fucking movie, you know, which I'm not a huge fan of, but you know, it is.
I respect them for doing it. Doesn't mean I
respect them for doing it. Exactly, but I mean, you know, part 2 was I don't know how much fucking millions of dollars part 2 made in its opening week, but it was something insane. But that's one thing I did with this channel, and like once I became monetized a couple months ago, I constantly donate to indie filmmakers. Whatever little bit of money I make on this channel, I donate back to indie crowdfunding, buy novels and so forth, because I'm trying to slowly give back to. I mean, listen, would I love to become a millionaire from this? Of course I would. But like at the end of the day, my job is to support indie horror creators, and for the most part, indie horror creators support me. I mean, the fact that I was able to get to that point where I was monetized in my first year is I could not did it without them.
Yeah, and by the way, congratulations on your upcoming role.
Oh, thank you. Actually, I just filmed Blood and Breakfast a couple weekends ago. So, and it was absolutely fun. Thank you to Mark Burns and thank you to Matt Burns.
Yes, they're awesome guys. I only talk to them online once in a while, but it's always been pleasant. So, congrats to you.
Thank you.
Now,
thank you.
Another independent horror guy, Jason Pitts, is about to do his new movie with my friend James Stokes from Night of the Beast. They're getting ready to do The Forest Through the Trees.
Ooh.
Yeah, I just saw James. He was at the Media Comic Con with me 2 weeks ago. He's in my new comic. I drew him as well. I also drew a lot of readers and shit like that in the comic too. Yeah. I add people just to add them.
Well, I would love to be a character in one of your comics. So if you would like to draw me in, perfectly fine.
If you ever need an ad for your show, just let me know. I put a bunch of ads in that last book for people just for showing up.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. Most definitely. I'm going to take you up on that, by the way.
Nice. Speaking of horror films,
yes. Mm-hmm.
I do have an upcoming short I'm working on. I'm finishing the script right now. Ooh. I've already got most of it cast. And I'm actually doing straight horror. I'm not doing horror comedy like I normally do. And it's going to be called Curse of the Ghost Writer. And it's going to be very low key. And instead of low budget, I'm doing almost no budget. A few of the people are filming their scenes remote because the way I wrote it in with modern technology, like we're talking right now, that's how a couple are. I'm blessed. I have Purple Pam from Citizen Toxie. Nice. Yeah, and she's also been in Tromeo and Juliet, and she's also been in Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Yeah, she's really cool. She was drawing in my book, and we got talking. I was like, I got this idea I'm getting ready to do, and I just sent her like this little synopsis, and she agreed on the spot. So I was like, oh, okay. So she's playing my ex-girlfriend in this short movie. So yeah,
love it.
I'm looking forward to that. What's that?
Can you talk about the story of it? Or
I can a little bit because I mean it's not going to like spoil too much. Basically, the main character is a shiftless little piece of shit. That's me, who's a failed writer, and he somehow manages to get himself a book deal on a sample that he submits, which he got by kind of nefarious means. So, and then it's about what lengths we go to try to either cover our bullshit or to try to like keep going once we're in a situation where we're about to be found out. So yeah, the title says it all. Curse of the Ghost Writer. So yeah, it's
Love it.
I don't know the length, and I don't know if it'll ever be a feature, but I do know that after we do the short, I'm actually doing the short story version, which will be longer, for a horror anthology I've been writing over the last year or so. So
Nice.
yeah, and also, I didn't know if you realized this since we talked last, I'm a freelance writer for Monster Mag now. I do articles for them, and
Sweet.
yeah,
Monster Mag, they're out of New England, aren't they? Is that the one?
Yeah, I got published as of this last issue. Issue 3 had me doing a toy review of the Kraken from Clash of the Titans back in the day. I have a couple of my short stories going to be in, I think, issue 4 or 5, and then there's another toy review that I do coming up, which, because it's not out, I won't go into details. But with them again, I do a lot of work for trade, right? So I know what it's like to be an independent publisher paying to print things. So far, I've been doing, well, let's do it this way. I'll do some writing for you here and there, and then you give me ad space in the magazine. That is how you build a relationship. It's not always about this. That will come from others once they see your shit. And I'm not just putting ads for myself in the magazine. I'm doing it for some other people as well. So it's pay it forward. It's not about what they can do for you. It's what you can do for each other.
It's a team effort, man. It's all about that's the real definition of networking. Networking is building a team where everybody's working, doing something for everyone, and you just paid it forward and goes in full circle, man. Full circle.
And I grew up with Famous Monsters, Filmland, and Rue Morgan shit. In this day and age, to actually be in a magazine that has both digital and a printed one, that's a dream come true. You know what I mean? That's not me self-publishing. That's me being asked to actually do real writing. Not that comics aren't, but a lot of people don't look at it that way. But I'll tell you, bullshit. Writing a comic is like writing a fucking movie. It's a goddamn script, whatever you want to fucking call it. I have to draw my actors.
Yes.
And they're assholes to me.
So
my character, Bret Hart, Johnny Necro cut him out years ago. That little fucker hates me, man. He wants to shove a pencil in my pee hole. Fuck yeah.
Really?
In this new comic, man, he was just picking on me because they end up falling into our world. They run into me into a con, and the fucking first thing that little asshole says is, "Man, you got fat and lost a lot of teeth."
So being so immersed into the indie horror scene, this is a two-part question. What is one thing that you're excited about right now, in regards to the indie horror community and creators? And what's one thing that you're like, fuck, I hope this doesn't happen in a bad way? You're a little nervous about.
Well, the first one, I guess. Obviously, I've been creating my own shit for years. To be asked to be in somebody else's stuff, that's like the ultimate goal, right? To be respected by your peers where they're like, hey, can you do this? Last Halloween, that happened for me. I'm very excited. I got not only a producer credit, but an acting credit in Michelle Lynn Blasky's unofficial sequel to Halloween, the third channel, which you can find on YouTube. So that was a fucking drop in the bucket. I was like, holy shit, that was fucking insane. That's great. And it was out of the blue. She already had almost a whole movie. And I was on vacation with my wife last August for our anniversary. We were there for a 13-year anniversary and got back to the hotel. My friend Michelle messaged me, who coincidentally, we met online, but she's from my old hood in Detroit, like the fucking ghetto of Delray, just years apart. Yeah, that's fucking weird. Like, she's like a sister to me now, like long distance. She's the greatest. And I plan on bringing her on board for a project in the near future. But back to the third channel, one of the composers did work on Sleepaway Camp, and one of the actors was the little kid with the pumpkin mask in front of the TV, all grown up, playing a different role, the one that was pulling that mask off his face.
Yeah.
So that's like, for her to call me out of the blue and say, hey, I need you to record yourself doing a commercial for something called Automated Love. You can write your own dialogue, film it, and send it to me. And she did. She let me write my own fucking lines.
Nice.
So I made the guy really creepy. He's a skeezy little motherfucker. He looks like a fucking sex offender or a serial killer the way he acts. But I shouldn't really say that. He's wearing my own clothes. And it's not like I went out and bought a fucking outfit. But it's just the way I presented the character. He was more like, "Hi there. Are you looking for love in all the wrong places?" You know, that kind of fucking, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? But she edited it in, and it's like the last 5 minutes of the film. I have the little 30-second inside a fucking TV in a commercial. And it was so cool that happened on my 24th anniversary, the same night I put out my 2-hour, self-made documentary with my friend who used to be a reader. Now he's a partner with projects, Brian Anderson, and he was narrator of my Troma commercial. But
nice.
See, it's just building this fucking network of like, holy shit. That was my like really exciting moment, because it was something that I did that wasn't all me. You know what I mean? It was just her reaching out, just saying, "Hey, you want to do this?" And she gave me the producer credit because I was helping promote it. And I gave her an ad in the book and all that shit. Dread. What do I not want to happen? I don't want to be labeled some narcissistic piece of shit just because I do so much and have so many irons on the fire. I don't ever want my childhood amazement at what we can accomplish be construed as like I think I'm better than somebody, because I'm not. I work in a fucking factory as a boiler operator for 12-hour shifts. I take care of my wife, my cats, my responsibilities first. But I'm now, years later, I'm still blown away. I'm in my home studio, Evil Shred Studios. I lived on a subway when I moved to New York. I slept in the fucking back of the train, riding it back and forth all fucking night. And when I was homeless, I never thought to go try to work for Troma. That's like one of the weirdest fucking things, because you're so busy surviving, you ain't trying to do that shit. You know what I mean? You might be drawn, but you're doing it while you're fucking nodding out at an all-night coffee shop. So the dread would be for some cataclysmic thing to happen where I can't do this shit anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I get tremors sometimes. I get forgetful things. I mean, everybody does it, but I get paranoid of that. Being a creative person, I get fucking scared out of my mind if I put something somewhere in the house and I don't remember where it is. Yeah. To lose my consciousness and not be able to keep my shit straight so that I can keep creating and keep sharing and keep trying to touch lives and make them better, or to make friends like you or my friends who do Damn At a Geek Den, or any number one of the people out there who have embraced me as one of their own. Fuck. But half of the guys that fucking work the merch booth in Troma are the best people I've ever met. And they became my friends because I wanted to include them in my book too. I drew them next to Lloyd. Why wouldn't you have the backbone of the company in a convention story represented in a convention? It just also shows that nobody is more important than anybody else in the industry. The fucking gaffer is just as important as the actress, and the sound guy is just as important as the fucking writer. It's all a network. It's like a fucking circulatory system. And we got to get past that it's all about me mentality. Troma has it right. Troma team. There's no I in team. That's how it is with our community. And if Hollywood won't do it, and they won't make the sequels that we wanted to see, but will continue to reboot shit and recast shit and fucking run things to the ground, it is up to us. And I don't care if you're like James Stokes and play Jason, or if you're Kane Hodder. If you play Jason in a fan film, you're just as much Jason as anybody that's in one of those fucking movies, because Paramount ain't making them.
Yep. I agree. I 100% agree.
Sorry about that. I get passionate about this shit, man.
Yeah, I fucking love it, man. I fucking love it. But if you watch my show, you know what time is it now, Johnny. I'm going to ask you 3 random horror questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'll probably forget. Right. Go ahead.
First.
if you stump me, I'm going to stump you. I'm telling you that.
No, these are opinion questions.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I thought you were asking me like fucking trivia time. And I don't even remember my name.
I might do that next. But no, okay, who was your first crush in a horror movie?
Bride of Frankenstein.
Who was your first crush?
Bride of Frankenstein.
The Bride?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
After that, it'll be Return of the Living Dead 3.
Oh,
yes. I wrote a love song about it.
Oh, my God, man. Yes.
I have a synth or Frankenhooker. She was even further. I can't tell you, man. They're all hot. You cannot be. Amanda Kruger is hot, dude. You cannot be in a horror movie.
Yo. I did my top 5. I did a ranking a couple months back. It was my top 5 hottest indie horror characters, whatever. And I think she was like number 3. But when I was a kid, man, they should show that shit on Cinemax at like 11 o'clock at night. And I would creep down, cut the volume down, cover up the doors and so forth, because that fucking nude scene in the beginning with her, oh my fucking goodness, man.
Even I would watch that shit over and over again. Trauma is synonymous.
Yes, they did not play. All right, second question. All right, what horror series are you tired of at this point?
What am I tired of?
Mm-hmm. Like a horror movie series that you are like, you know what? Take a break. We don't need to see any.
Probably all the Conjuring shit, because I really don't like all the props they're giving the 2 little shysters they're based on.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the Warrens, and I grew up in the Satanic Panic era. You know what I mean? It's just it's overdone, it's overplayed, and it's like same with Amityville Horror. They had to fucking throw that.
Oh my god! Movie.
You know, and and I have a song about Amityville Horror. It's not that I don't like it. You know, I mean, I like the mythos of it. And, you know, the mystique's gone, though. Once it's an extra scene in one of the third Conjuring or some shit. Now it's just like, all right, great. Now you're just, again, you're making money for the fucking children of the Warrens. Keep showing that fucking Raggedy Ann doll. I'm sorry, the Annabelle in the movies looks better than the one that they were fucking scared of.
But yeah, I agree.
The Haunting in Connecticut movie, even though it's not the same universe, it's still the same fucking people.
Yes, but I agree with you. Like the Conjuring movies have definitely jumped the shark. I don't know if you heard the saying "jump the shark," but they've jumped the shark. Like
Happy Days. Hey.
Yes, Happy Days. Yes.
I'm 49. I know what jump the shark means.
I was about to say Howard Stern. I'm a Howard Stern fan, but
nice.
Yes, but no, but that series hit Jump the Shark. I'm done with Conjuring, but the one that I always say is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm done with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, give Texas Chainsaw Massacre a fucking break. It needs to be put down for like 10 fucking years, and maybe somebody 10 years from now has a creative idea on the series. But
yeah, I didn't like the new one on Netflix. I didn't like the Karen aspect at all, and I don't know, man. I wanted to like it. I love Leatherface. Again, talk about soundtracks. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 had the fucking cramps, and it had Oingo Boingo and shit in it. But that one right there is like the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre other than the original. And they're almost 2 different animals. You got to like them for 2 different ways. Same with like Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? But I don't think they got to keep beating it to the ground. You know what I mean?
I agree. Part 2 is actually my favorite, by the way.
Yeah.
I love the original, but I like Part 2. I like it was something different. And
the dialogue was incredible. The character build up with the other family members was just, it was the fucking tits. Look, I said a bad outdated phrase.
Last question. What is your favorite Troma movie of all time? Favorite Troma movie of all time?
The original Toxic Avenger. The original Toxic Avenger, because that was my gateway in. You know, I obviously love a lot of Troma, but my story with the original also coincides with little subtleties I did with my commercial I told you about earlier. When I first saw it, I got a VHS of the rated R version at a local video store in the used box. A few years later, I found the unrated, and I said, what the fuck is this? And I watched it, and so many gaps. Like, my eyes widened because things that were cut, little gestures like, when he shoved the guy into the pizza oven and shit like that. Mm-hmm. But the thing I love about it is the subtleties, because Lloyd was the king of one take. You learn that after years of watching this stuff. Like, if you can do it, just do it. There's a scene where the guy gets thrown into the kitchen in the Mexican restaurant, and he lands and taco shells fall on him. And it cuts away and things are going on, and it comes back and he's got nachos on him instead, which tells you they had to redo that scene. But as a young man, I was like, that's genius, because you think it's intentional, not the other. So when I do you got to watch that commercial. When I do that commercial, there's a scene where my character opens the cabinet and there's a box of cereal that says same old shit. And outside, Toxic Avenger snaps his fingers and it changes to a Troma Now box. Well, I'm wearing one of my Horror Adorables Toxic Avenger shirts, and it changes with the snap. And the next time you see it, you barely see it. It's the same image as the box of cereal. That was my nod.
Nice.
So, yeah.
See, I started off. When it comes to Toxic Avenger, before I was a Toxic Avenger fan, I was a Toxic Crusaders, the cartoon fan. Toxic Avenger had a cartoon series,
right.
And then my older sister, she was much older than me. She went to the video store and she rented. She was like, "Well, these are based off of movies." I had no fucking idea. And so she brought Toxic Avenger 3 home. That's the first one I saw, was part 3. And I was absolutely disturbed what the fuck I was watching. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And like, whoa. And but my favorite Toxic Avenger movie is Citizen Toxie. That's my favorite.
That is great too. That is great.
That's by far the best one. But my favorite Troma character is Sergeant Kabuki Man, believe it or not. Nice. I love Sergeant Kabuki Man.
I just drew him for my Horror Adorables line. So
nice. I love Sergeant Kabuki Man.
Yeah, that's a good movie too.
Yes, it has a little bit of everything in it. It's off the wall crazy. Johnny, where can everybody find you, my friend?
Well, you can find my link tree, and I can't tell you what it is, but it's probably Frozen Dead 13. Or you can look up Horror Adorables on Instagram.
I'll put it in the description for you. Yes.
Random Insanity Productions on Facebook has everything. And then once you find my link tree, or I send it to you and we post it, it's everywhere. I got YouTubes and all that, but there's so many weirdo main names and all that. You can find Johnny Necro almost all over the fucking place too. You can't really find Frozen Dead except for images when you type it, because it's Random Insanity Productions. It's a brand like Horror Adorables and all that other shit. But definitely look up Fantastic Creations, because you can get Horror Adorable shit or Frozen Dead shit from my wife, because she makes a lot of my merch. Nice. Try to keep everything as in-house as we can.
That's the best way to do it. And everybody, listen, down in that description box is going to be the links. So definitely click on and go buy some shit. Go follow some shit. Johnny, it's been fun, man. It's been a blast having you on.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I'd hug you if I was there. Okay. I just say thank
you. We can do. We can do it now. Come on, ready?
And if you're out there next to somebody, hug them. Even if it's a stranger, hug them.
Exactly.
They might not like it. They might stab you, but hug them anyway.
I live in Baltimore. I'm not really walking up and hugging anybody.
Right. Since you're in Baltimore, next year you better come to the Great Media Comic Con and see me down in Media, PA. You're about 2.5 hours away, I think.
Remind me, and I will be there.
Yeah, one of my friends from the Troma booth actually drove up from Bayou.
Okay.
So
remind me, and I will be there, man. As you know, I go to conventions all over the country, so I will, especially the local ones. I fucking love them. So I will definitely be there. All right, awesome, listen, bud. Johnny, it's been a blast, man. Listen, I want to have you back on. Listen, next time, I'm a huge collectible guy too. So next time I'll have you come on, and we're going to talk about fucking collectibles. I think that's what we.
You should see my room downstairs. That's completely Funko Pops. Yeah.
We're talking about Funko Pops. And we were talking about Toxic Avenger.
Awesome.
Yes. I have over 500 Funko Pops, and I get them autographed. So I'm next time I run into Lloyd, I'm gonna get him to autograph that bad boy.
He will. He autographs them for free. Don't buy them online signed. There's a scammer going on selling them for $400. Just get him to do it. He'll sign anything. He'll sign a dildo if you bring it. Just fucking go to the goddamn Troma booth. You'll probably think it's hilarious. You'll have a dildo that says Toxie loves you. but yeah, no. That's the other thing. All mine are open. I'm going to send you a video after this, and you have my permission to edit it in. $30,000. that's open fucking Funko Pop.
Oh my fucking god, man! That just makes me
because I ain't gonna fucking give them to people when I die. They can go get auctioned to charity for pets. I open them because I want to see them.
See them? Like my Toxie, he glows in the dark. He's pretty fucking cool. I like him.
There's an open one in my room, and this one has nail polish on from my friend. He put the little blood splats on it for me with nail polish.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. So, yes, we're definitely going to have you come back on. We're going to talk Funko Pops and horror collectibles. We're going to talk collectibles. Let's fuck it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, collectibles in general. Because everything's awesome.
In general. Everything's awesome.
I got a Roddy Piper Michelangelo on that wall.
I fucking love Roddy Piper. By the way, he was supposed to come to Baltimore a couple of years ago. And he was supposed to come to Baltimore to Monster Mania, which was a convention, and he died like a couple of days before, and I was so fucking bummed out. I was so fucking bummed out.
They Live is one of my favorite fucking movies of all time.
Love They Live. Love it.
Yeah.
I got the Funko Pops somewhere in here too, man.
Their chemistry was fucking badass.
Oh, it was so fucking good, man. So fucking good.
We can talk all night, but I know you're trying to.
Listen, we talk about it. Listen, next show, we're gonna fucking talk, man. All right, listen, everybody, thank you for coming to the Horror Ram. I'm Travis Bruce. That's Johnny Necro. We'll see you guys next time.
Love from beyond
and collectibles. Have a good one.